All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the BMC Exchange event. This session is going to focus on accelerating MTTR with BMC Helix Ops and log analytics. This is an exciting session that we have for you, talking about how we accelerate with AIOps strategy on log analytics, and we're going to focus a little bit on log enrichment as well here. My name is Sam Lakundi, and I am Vice President of Innovation at BMC, and I have the opportunity to present my co-presenter, Anuj.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Anuj Gupta. So I work in the product management team here in BMC's Digital Service and Operations Management Business Unit. In this role, I'm responsible for providing the product strategy and roadmap for operations management using BMC Helix log analytics and AIOps.
Thank you, Anuj. Let's move on to the agenda slide. All right. So as you see in the agenda here, what we have, first of all, thank you everybody for attending the session today, right? IT operations management, in our view, is a vexing problem for most companies that rely on IT systems for mission critical business applications. This session is going to focus on how these analytics help reduce the mean times to detect MTTR, identify, isolate MTTI, and resolve MTTR, which is really incident management, right? Which is the focus of our presentation here today. What it in turn does is save millions of dollars, and we have seen this with other customers, preventing direct costs, lost revenues, penalties, and indirect costs, right? Which is customer dissatisfaction, lost customers, and so on and so on. Let me, define what log analytics is and what log enrichment is, for those of you who are not familiar with these terms. In this session, we're going to focus on log analytics, which involves searching, analyzing, and visualizing machine data, which is generated by IT systems and technology infrastructure to gain operational insights for what you need within the organization. Traditional data analytics tools are simply not built to handle the variety and volume of this rapidly proliferating machine data. Right? So log messages, on the other hand, with log enrichment, is log messages already contain a wealth of information, right? Which about what is happening in your systems, if there's a log. Still, these logs need to be enriched with additional information like geolocation, belonging to an IP address, which can improve the usability of these logs considerably. As these additional details are added to log message by in real time, they can help in the message routing or alerting, and also can be useful for making dashboards more important to the point. This is the premise of our presentation and the demo that we will showcase to you. With that, let me move to the next slide. So these, what you see on the screen here, are macro trends affecting IT operations. The three major trends are multi-cloud, which is the cloud adoption, as you're well aware, has grown exponentially in the last 5 to 10 years. And with the cloud benefits of agility, flexibility, and reduced costs comes the challenge of managing more complex hybrid IT environments spanning from on-prem to multi-cloud to containers. This combined with the multi-device challenge in the age of consumer, with trends like mobile, retail, banking, bring your own device, and the Internet of Things, is driving an explosion in the number of devices, which is challenged by the need to manage, monitor, and optimize the performance of ever-increasing number of devices. DevOps, which is really the focus of this conversation, is the growth in adoption of DevOps initiatives, driving faster and more frequent app releases, which puts really undue and a lot of pressure on IT ops teams to manage the availability and performance of those apps. So DevOps initiatives demand speed, fast time to value, and reduce friction in deployment and monitoring processes. And DevOps teams often begin to use a microservices architecture for applications, which allows us to quickly iterate. And these microservices-based apps generate a lot of data, and agile methods in DevOps can lead to inconsistent quality and unpredictable scalability. And the last section on here is basically a big data, which I'm sure you have covered in other parts of the presentation, including the keynote that our Chief Product Officer had, which is Ali, which is the volume, variety, and velocity of operational data has naturally exploded, with IT operations teams experiencing 2- or 3-fold increase annually in data volume generated by IT systems. This is to the point at which data volumes are now beyond human scale to manage. And those are the major trends affecting IT operations. So, operation teams are burdened with multiple issues. Tool sprawl, right, is really the ability to cope with the volume of data and complexity, right? More monitoring tools are invested, and that basically at a level it becomes inefficient. There is insufficient monitoring strategy, right? Many IT and OT teams lack a monitoring strategy to deal with deployment technologies, DevOps processes, and cloud-native applications, which basically are generating enormous amounts of data. Gaps in monitoring and visibility ultimately lead in an ability to monitor this service quality. Visibility gaps or large amounts of data on-premise and across the cloud present additional challenges for visibility. Event noise, which is again the focus of our presentation, is most of our customers have thousands of events being generated every day or even every hour from different apps and technologies and platforms. It's getting very difficult to identify what that noise is and what is a real event that has potential to impact the business. And then you have issues that basically go undetected, right? This is an increase in complexity, and data volume means that existing IT ops tools and processes cannot scope. Machine learning and analytics are needed to avoid this business risk. Next slide, please. So, what are the requirements for the solution then? In the light of this complexity, what is it, right? So, digital transformation is today's new norm, right? I mean, you have heard about digital transformation, you have heard about digital disruption, so this is definitely a new norm. Advances in AIOps, which as you're well aware, is the combination of AI and operations, right? Which also includes, by the way, machine learning capabilities and AI capabilities, have enabled these IT teams to implement a single unified monitoring strategy. DevOps initiatives demand the speed, a fast time to value, and reduce friction in deployment and monitoring processes. DevOps teams are basically now developing applications utilizing a combination of agile methodologies and microservice architecture so that they can quickly iterate. Remember that these microservices-based apps generate a large amount of data when we talk about data ops. The use of the agile methods in DevOps can lead to inconsistent quality and unpredictable scalability. Without a combined approach to monitoring, the DevOps apps development processes, service quality may be at risk. And this is the crux of our presentation. Next slide, please. So what is BMC's solution for our customers? BMC Helix Operations is our solution that uses predictive capabilities to proactively improve the performance and availability of IT services across multi-cloud, hybrid, and on-premise environments. BMC Helix Operations Management uses AIOps for monitoring, anomaly detection, advanced event management, and root cause analysis to reduce MTTR and maximize service performance and availability. Helix Operations Management, or what you will also probably be referred to as BHOM, is a key component of our BMC Helix platform, which is really, if you take the industry solutions out there, we are the only end-to-end AI-driven SaaS platform that gives organizations the ability to manage the complexity and scale of the IT operations to deliver in a fast value in time, ease of use, integration via open APIs, and reduce operational costs. Next slide, please. So what is a combination of BMC Helix operations with AIOps, right? Operation teams face many challenges. They're overwhelmed with increasing large amounts of complex data from multiple sources and event noises, which basically additionally hides problems that need to be solved quickly. Issues issues usually go undetected or undiagnosed and can adversely impact the performance and availability of your infrastructure, applications, and business services. At the same time, organizations need to support DevOps initiatives, new technologies, lift and shift migrations, and cloud-native applications that generate enormous amounts of data. With that, I am going to pass it to Anuj, who's going to now focus on log analytics and log enrichment after I've given you this background on who BMC is with Helix Operations Management, as well as the focus on what we have within what is happening in the industry. Anuj, take it away, please.
Yep. Thanks, Sam. Now, let me take you through an AIOps use case. So here's John, who can be your NOC operator, a service owner, a DevOps engineer, or a site reliability engineer. So what are his goals? Well, John wants to meet his SLAs in an increasingly complex environment to delight his customers. And to be able to do that, what does John need? Well, he needs better ways to see what issues truly exist and do not get swamped by a deluge of events and incidents. He needs a faster way to get to the root cause of the reported problem. To resolve this, let's see how it can be done. So this can be achieved by using the advanced AI capabilities of noise reduction and probable cause analysis using the BMC Helix AIOps solution. It provides an AI-driven event correlation and situations to watch, thereby reducing the incidents even before the users are impacted. It also provides the automated probable cause analysis for a service or application getting impacted, thereby identifying the root cause. You can also correlate data from disparate data sources by bringing onto a common unified data lake, which supports open API for data integration for both internal as well as third-party event metric logs and topology data. Okay, moving on. So logs as you understand, is a key pillar of the underlying data which feeds to the observability and the AIOps solution. So needless to say, monitoring and deriving insights from logs is as valuable as any other data type. Now, with DevOps and the multi-cloud adoption, logging has become harder than ever. Architecture has evolved into microservices, containers, and orchestration infrastructure deployed on the clouds, across clouds, or in hybrid environments. Not only that, the sheer volume of data generated by these environments is constantly growing and constitutes a challenge in itself. This is where the advanced log management and analytics capabilities provided by BMC helps, allowing DevOps, IT operations, or SREs to gain visibility they need and ensure apps are available and performance at all times. So BMC Helix Log Analytics with AIOps provides the following key capabilities. First, it provides an easy data collection for a variety of sources, including cloud, container, and many other different sources. It provides the custom parsing to parse the data based on custom data patterns, provide advanced regex support, as well as ability to filter the data, to include as well as exclude the data not relevant. Next is it provides the enrichment capabilities. Enrichment, as we'll discuss in the next slide as well, but to add context and make our data more meaningful. It also provides ability to discover the data, search the data, and highlight key references to be able to troubleshoot and diagnose the problem. Visualizations and dashboards is another capability provided by the log analytics to derive valuable insights, as well as to monitor the health of a given service or a data source under monitor. Then the anomaly detection and alerting it to enable and find outliers and anomaly patterns from the data and notify the users even before they get impacted. And with the AIOps capabilities included in our Helix platform, it provides a probable cause analysis to be able to find the causal events for a given service being impacted and help in identifying the root cause. So let us talk in more details around our log enrichment capabilities. While the log data is desirable to see to understand what has happened in a problem situation, but the bigger challenge is that log data can be cryptic, it is difficult to interpret and use, and it many a times lacks relevant context. Also, it may contain sensitive data, so it is not directly can be exposed to the operator or an analyst. And that is where enrichment, which means converting your IP addresses into your host names, as an example, will make your log data more useful for searching, analysis, and other operational needs. So data enrichment provides the necessary and the relevant context in real time for enhanced observability and diagnostics. Enrichment can also be used to obfuscate the sensitive log data in log records, which may help in your audit requirements, in compliance, and other GDPR initiatives. Enriched data can then be stored in the log store and then used for various other purposes, including your data visualizations and dashboards, your analytics and automation use cases. And you can do enrichment from different data sources, your private data sources or public sources, like your LTAP, Microsoft Azure Active Directory, domain name service, GeoIP, CSVs, or using the custom defined data, including the Excel data or the tagging or the aliasing feature functionality. Okay. Now, let me take you through a use case around our log enrichment and how it is very critical to solving and analyzing the logs. Now, an SRE engineer or an IT data analyst reported that a threat actor is targeting their company's line of business for the last 3 months. They need to investigate that the company data is not compromised. So what would an SRE do? He would gather the data from multiple applications and sources, or by accessing them from the logs repository. These could be the application logs, firewall logs, network logs, system logs, and more, which contains a variety of useful information for investigation. However, the analyst cannot triage correctly if he does not have the needed context information, as searching the logs by a vulnerable host name is not possible if the logs contain IP addresses and no host names. It becomes almost impossible to reconstruct a situation for volatile and dynamically changing data, which may change in days, hours, or weeks. And all this it will lead to is incorrect and misleading results. Add to it the fact that the IPs keep changing frequently, hourly, daily, etc. And only way to effectively search is by capturing this data, this host name in real time. And the further away we get from the time these logs originated, more inaccurate the information is. Likewise, there can be many other examples where problem analysis is difficult, but having a true blue log enrichment solution can play a key role in adding the relevant information and provide meaningful context to be able to diagnose and troubleshoot a problem, and all that in real time. Now, let me take you through a brief demonstration of using the BMC Helix AIOps and the log analytics capability. Okay, so here's my BMC Helix portal, which provides a set of capabilities for the service and operations management. Okay, here I would click on my BMC Helix service monitoring or the AIOps capabilities to be able to troubleshoot and look at the problem in context of a service or an application. So here is my BMC Helix service monitoring solution. In the overview, what I look at is a bunch of services and the top services which are impacted, what is their health score, and the event trends for those services. And on the right side, you see the situations. So situations are nothing but a bunch of correlated events which may cause a potential problem in the future that we want to correct now. Okay, so let's take an example, and let me click on one service called Train App, wherein I'm interested to troubleshoot and troubleshoot and monitor it. So upon clicking this Train app application, what I come to is is the entities tab, wherein it shows that this is 100% impacted and the health score is red there, and it lists the impacted entities that on a given Kubernetes cluster under this namespace, this application is impacted. And as you can see, over the last 3 years, it is all red, means it has not been very good. And then you can also look at it over the last 6 hours, 12 hours, or 24 hours. So by using this whole AI ML engine, it is pointing me to the underlying nodes on which may be impacting, which may be impacted, and hence causing this service to go down. Okay, so what you see is a bunch of these nodes here. So let's take it one node, this particular node. If I click on this node, I see the bunch of events. These are the top events impacting this host. And if I click on this event, for example, it tells me that this particular event has been generated from my logs data. It is of class logged event. Okay, and it is when has it occurred, what is its score, and the severity is all shown here. If I look at any other event, it also shows that this event is an alarm event generated on my metrics on utilization, on wherein a particular Kubernetes host may be short of memory, and that is how any data across logs, across metrics, or topology from both internal and external sources are getting correlated together to provide the probable cause analysis. Along with this view, what you see is a topology view here. So for example, under my topology view, what I see here is my these service deployment view of how these different nodes are connected with the underlying services for that given application of interest. And for example, if I click on a particular node here, it will show me the list of correlated events that we have seen there, or a user can look back at the probable cost to look at the list of events. And what you also see next is the metrics tab, wherein you can also look at the underlying metrics for each of the nodes to track key KPIs, like the utilization, the memory, or the CPU and stuff for each of the different underlying hosts that is serving this particular service. Another interesting thing to note here is the situations to watch. So for example, under situations to watch, what it provides is a set of correlated events powered by AI ML, wherein we can show that these events are all correlated. So an IT operator or an SRE does not need to troubleshoot each of these events and get swarmed by the huge number of events that are growing on a day-to-day basis, but rather can see all of them in context of one particular event that he would be able to uh, review and monitor and troubleshoot. So what you see here is a bunch of events generated from my metrics data and a bunch of events generated from my logs data. And by clicking on any of them, you can again see that this particular event was a log event generated on a particular host here. Okay. Uh, Talking about the events, what you see here is the BMC Helix operations management, which is our solution for the event management. All the events generated from different data sources are being consumed in BHOM. And then, for example, for a given event for my train app service, for example, if I click on a given event, it then opens a set of events, for that particular event. So it shows me that, again, this is all correlated events together. Some are from different classes like alarm event or a log event. And the best part about is that you can to troubleshoot and deep dive and get the next level of details. It allows user to click on review logs, and where it will take me to my BMC Helix log analytics, which is basically where we are discovering and searching and analyzing the logs. So in context of that event, it has opened up into the log analytics, and there I can see and troubleshoot and see the log messages to see that, what was the reason why it was causing an error. We see that it is an error there, and there's an exception, and what is that exception, why the event has occurred. This is a powerful way to be able to troubleshoot the problem all the way from your service view down to the exact logs view at the raw level. And what we also provide is the advanced dashboarding capabilities for self-service and interactivity. A user can create the dashboards as per his requirements using the BMC Helix dashboards. What we have created is a sample log alert view. If I click on it, it just shows me a view of what are my different events being generated from my logs data of interest. So I see there are a bunch of logs here, log events being generated. And again, a powerful way is that you can, as a business user, you can get a glance of my event. And if you click on this review logs again, it will go down to my log analytics again in context of that particular event. This is how we are using the BMC AIOps and the log analytics capabilities to troubleshoot an issue or a problem in context of a service or an application. In addition to it, let me also discuss with you the log enrichment capabilities that we just discussed, wherein in the absence of a powerful enrichment engine, what you see is a bunch of raw logs data, just as like an IP address. For example, this is an IP address. Now, from an IP address, I don't know the geo IP information or the host information for this particular IP address from where the user is accessing. Okay, that is where I define my enrichment policies. So I can define different kinds of enrichment policy depending on my use case. If my use case is to be able to resolve the IP address with the host name, then I'll go to my DNS policy. If the use case is to use a location tracking for a user, I will define in my geo IP. As an example, this is my geo IP for my Apache service. And here I define my name and my selection criteria that whenever my logs is collected from a so-and-so agent. And that's where I define the configuration of my geo IP. And when I click on it, I want to basically add my data sources and the here. So okay, so what I see here is my geo IP enrichment, which tells me what is my geo IP data source as well as the fields by which I want to enrich. Okay, so for example, using the geo IP, what we see here currently is that my enrichment is all skipped. I could not enrich, and here and in the next set, so here my enrichment is all skipped. And if I look at the data post the enrichment, what I see is a beautiful way of enriching my logs with a geo IP. Okay, so I see my latitude information, my city it says San Jose, the country is USA, and the region also, even the even the latitude details. So this is the kind of level of enrichment that we're doing in our logs data. You can also look at the, the host information, for example. Let me show you. For example, for the given IP address of interest, what was the IP address that we talked about is this IP address. For this, now I know what is my host name. This is enriched. So now it is easy. Even if my threat actor was changing the IP addresses, using my host name, I can troubleshoot, okay, the particular logs or the particular attacks were happening from this particular host name. And another example of enrichment and a very popular way is your CSV. You do a lookup from your CSV data and you want to enrich it. Using your CSV data, you can add a bunch of these different data, things. You can add your warranty period, product, code, make as a sample example. And let me show you an example. So this is where an example of your CSV enrichment, wherein you can enrich your data using the CSV data sources. And all these logs are being enriched in the real time and then then is stored in our log store. And that is where it is then picked by our AIOps service and then being used for advanced AI ML capabilities for troubleshooting.
All right, Anuj, thank you. That was definitely an exciting demo. And I think hopefully all of you got to see the power of the BMC Helix AIOps solution. More importantly, on how you accelerate MTTR with our AIOps and log analytics/enrichment, right? The BMC Advantage is simple. The BMC Advantage is basically the BMC Helix operations management, the AIOps, which helps IT operations like yours to manage increasingly complex IT infrastructure which span multi-cloud, hybrid, and on-premise environments, right? And delivered via all this delivered via a SaaS-based deployment. The BMC operations management with AIOps basically helps IT operations, companies predict and proactively address potential issues using advanced analysis, machine learning to detect anomalies, identify root cause analysis, and manage events to basically ensure the performance and availability of today's large complex IT environments. I hope you were able to gain some insight into our solutions and how we can help accelerate some of your DevOps capabilities. I appreciate you taking the time to sit through this presentation, and please let us know if we can answer any questions of yours. And once again, thank you for your time.